The truck arrived on a flatbed, still wearing its dealer plates. Ray Alvarez had seen this exact truck the week before. Different owner, same noise. He pulled the cover off the top of the engine and went quiet. Whatever killed this V8 had been installed at the factory. It was still sitting inside every truck on the lot outside. Ray didn't know it yet. He had just found the first of 3. Ray fixed trucks in a town where trucks mattered. Ranch roads, job sites, long, empty highway. His customers didn't buy vehicles for fun. They bought tools. And for most of his life, the V8 was the safe answer. Heavy, simple, almost impossible to kill. Men brought him engines that had outlived 2 owners and a marriage. He trusted them the way you trust an old dog. Then the newer trucks started arriving. They were smoother, quieter, they used less fuel. The brochures called it progress, and Ray believed it. For a while, nothing seemed wrong. Then came a winter he still talks about. A contractor's pickup barely broken in, ticking like a clock. Then a family's SUV, drinking oil it was never supposed to drink. Then a delivery van full of metal it should never have contained. Different owners, different dealers, the same failure. Ray started keeping a notebook in his back pocket, not for the shop, for himself. He wrote down every dead engine and what it had in common. By spring, the list had one line at the top. Every single one of them was a V8, and every single one had a feature the owners had never heard of. The first thing Ray found was hiding under the valve cover, a small steel cup no bigger than a thumb. It sits between the camshaft and the valve. It is supposed to stay round. This one had been crushed flat. He found another, then a third. In a healthy engine, these parts outlived the truck. In these engines, they were dying before the warranty did. The part has a name, a lifter, and these lifters were not ordinary. They could collapse on command. Somebody had designed them to fold, deliberately, over and over. Ray held one up to the shop light and turned it slowly. Then he asked the question that cost him the next year of his life. Why would anyone build a part meant to break its own connection? Nobody at the dealership could answer him. The service manual didn't explain it either. It told him to replace the part and close the ticket, so he replaced it, and the truck came back. The second thing Ray found wasn't a part at all. It was an absence. A customer came in for a routine oil change. Ray pulled the dipstick and found almost nothing on it. The engine had swallowed most of its own oil. The owner had no idea. Nothing on the dash had told her. No light, no message, no sound. She had been driving her kids around for months. The engine had been starving quietly the entire time. Ray checked the next V8 that came in. Same story. Then the next one. These engines were burning oil between services, and the service intervals had been stretched longer than ever. 2 decisions, made in 2 different rooms. Feeding each other. Ray wrote it down and underlined it twice. Then he found the third thing. The third one was worse. Owners had been reporting this for years before Ray ever saw it. Subscribe, because there are more. The third flaw wasn't in the metal. It was in the silence. When one of those steel cups collapses, it does not stay put. It grinds itself into powder. The powder goes into the oil. The oil goes everywhere. Every bearing. Every surface. Every gap. By the time a driver hears something, the damage isn't local, it's the whole engine. That's why Ray's customers kept getting the same estimate. Not a repair, a replacement. And here's the part that kept him awake. The truck knew nothing. The computer watched a long list of things. It did not watch the one part that could kill the engine. There was no sensor for it. There was no warning light for it. The failure was invisible by design, and it was waiting for a highway. Her name was Dana. She was one of Ray's regulars. She left before sunrise, driving to her sister's, kids asleep behind her. The road was flat and cold and empty. She heard the tick first, light, almost polite. She turned the radio down to listen to it. The tick became a knock. The knock became something she could feel through the pedals. Then the steering went heavy. The dashboard lit up all at once, which meant it was already finished. She coasted onto the shoulder in silence. Steam, then no steam, then nothing. Her son woke up and asked if they were there yet. Dana sat with both hands on the wheel in the dark. The engine had been dying for months. It simply waited for the highway to finish the job. Ray got the flatbed call before the shop opened. He already knew what he would find under the cover. The reason was never inside the engine. It was decided in a meeting years before the engine existed. Governments told the automakers to raise fuel economy. The targets were strict. The deadlines were real. Customers, meanwhile, still wanted 8 cylinders, so the engineers were handed an impossible instruction. Build a V8 that drinks like something smaller. Their solution was elegant on paper. If the truck isn't working hard, it doesn't need all its cylinders, so shut half of them off. Let the engine cruise as a smaller engine. Wake it when the driver asks. To do that, they needed valves that could stop opening. That is what those collapsing steel cups were for. Every time the system switched, those parts took a hit. On an ordinary commute, that switching never stops. Thousands of cycles an hour for the life of the truck. Now add the second decision. Thinner oil flows easier, so the engine burns less fuel. Thinner oil also means a thinner film between hard metal parts. The components under the highest load were the ones being slammed, and the cylinders that shut down grew cold and stopped sealing properly. Cold cylinders let oil slip past the rings. That is why the engines drank. None of this was an accident. Every piece of it was a choice. Tested, approved, signed. The flaw wasn't hidden inside the engine, it was written into the engine's purpose. The lawsuits arrived in waves. Owners of pickups, vans, sedans, all telling one story. Engines dying before the loans were paid off. The claims climbed past $100 million. Recalls followed. Extended warranties followed. Quiet redesigns followed. Some manufacturers eventually deleted the system from newer engines entirely, which is the closest thing to an admission you will ever get. But the documents are what matter. Internal testing had flagged the wear early. Field data showed the failures climbing. Technicians like Ray filed reports that traveled upward and stopped. The information existed. It simply lost the argument. A number on a fuel economy sheet outranked a woman on a shoulder at dawn. That is the flaw, not the lifter, not the oil. The flaw was that somebody already knew, and the schedule didn't care. Ray still carries the notebook. He opens it whenever somebody asks him which truck to buy.